All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the lobby, although I'm going to take you into the game here. Thank you all for hanging out. And let's get this going. All right, we're popping in. The crew has been populated. I am here as well. And Coffee Cat Presents is in the background and is going to be doing spooky stuff. Look, Mon, no hands. That's because there's an extra set helping me out. So welcome to you in the audience. Thank you for joining us. I will be glancing at chat throughout the game, but I got to make sure that I'm presenting to my players in the time that we have to get this part of the story told. So you all are absolutely encouraged to talk amongst yourselves. I may not be able to answer questions. Others in chat might be able to as well. And for all of you who do raid in and visit and talk and everything, thank you very much. If I don't acknowledge you in the moment, know that I am now, and I'm very, very grateful for it. Now, before we become our characters, let's talk as players and GM. In this game, GM stands for Game Mother, and I will be the one who is facilitating descriptions, narration, creating wild plot holes and loose ends to frustrate my players. Because, well, hopefully by the end of the story, they'll actually survive the schemes that I have against them. The fiends, I know, right? So I got to do everything I can to try and baffle them and see what I can do. We have our all four of our players here tonight. So we have Trico playing Danner. We have Awkward Mancer playing Cyril. Now, of course, you can call him that if you're on a casual basis, but he is a doctor, so please show some respect. Then we have, well, I guess in a similar sense, though in a different profession, we have Jim, played by Valandar. And then we have Isaac, played by Silver Pirate. So thanks to all of you here for joining me for another night. I'm very grateful, especially after we were plagued with real life tech issues, which is going to be very, I don't know, maybe very appropriate. And you know what? It even happened in Cyberpunk. Maybe I should stop running a bunch of technological-based role-playing games. But then again, vampires coming up, and I mean, not like vampires can't hack or Call of Cthulhu in spooky season, and just some things just don't work. But anyway, I hope you all have been well. So after last session, I have been bubbly. I've been happy and excited. I made sure to amend some things I needed to because we were abbreviated at the end of last session. What I'm going to do is after we finish, our out of character talking, I will bring us into, or I will start kind of getting us into the story through a recap. But before I even take a step in that direction, as a player, either to the audience, to each other, or to me, is there anything that you would like to say or bring up? Just this is table talk, the time-honored tradition where a bunch of friends get together at a table and we just we BS for a little bit before we get into the game. This is your chance to do so. If there's nothing in particular, then that's fine. We can.
I can think of one thing, and that's that if Ralph comes in here and bounces up on my shoulder, it only counts as me interacting with my signature item. Then, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry, Valendar. Were you talking? Because I couldn't hear you, or were you just air quoting?
Yeah, I was talking.
Oh, I don't hear you. Why don't I hear you?
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
Can anyone else hear me?
I see.
I can hear you
on Discord.
I can hear
Why
you.
do
Sometimes
I
I
not hear
can
you?
hear you but not see you air quote. Sometimes you can see your air quote but not speak.
Well, they can hear me in the audience.
That's weird.
Maddie, can you hear me now?
All right, I hear the
Matthew,
background.
can you hear him?
Oh, all right, I hear voices now. They're the kind I want to hear.
Okay. Can you hear me now, Maddie?
I guess
Xenomorphs.
the headset went to sleep. Whatever timer, it wasn't getting a signal through it, and it quietly fell asleep on me, which is so. Anyway, I'm sorry. So after all of that, you heard me, but was there anything that you wanted to say as a player to each other, me, or audience?
Actually, yes, as a player from me to you. And that's that if Ralph runs in here and hops up on my shoulder, it only counts as interacting with my signature item if I actually say that's what I'm doing. Because he will run in here.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up. Because each of you as characters should have a signature item, which can be invoked.
I don't think I've ever placed down
to de-stress.
I don't think I.
All right, well, give yourself a signature item. You might want one. Also, there are Fickle God's Favors, which is a holdover from the very first role-playing game run on the channel, which was Chroma Company, and the. In fact, we even have a special little emote. Now, there's a limited amount of those that can be redeemed, but those of you in the audience can offer a Fickle God's Favor to any of the players or me, because they're going to bully me. So I could use every +1 that I can get. Now, what that will do, if any of you do give a Fickle God's Favor to make sure that you indicate to whom you want it to go, and that will be an extra base die that they can throw into one roll, and I'll consume it on the queue of Fickle God activity, and that might just be enough to help them squeak out of a situation. We'll find out.
Help us squeak.
Well, I'm probably just going to be using plush that I bought like GameStop. So,
all right. Well, make sure it's on your character sheet as well as a reminder.
Yeah, I just placed down plushie as my signature item.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be like this one. It's just using this as representation.
Yeah.
As he would probably do like something like this.
And apparently we're getting lots of Fickle God's Favors right now.
Oh, it seems so.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I have the queue for it up. So as you may need to use them, let me know. It looks like as of now, each of you have 2.
Ooh.
Including me. Haha.
Oh no.
I
Guys,
would like to
out
point
here.
out that my item will be a storage device.
Don't give the game butler more.
All the data on this current.
I'm trying to survive, man.
Hold on, I can't hear Cyril.
Yeah.
What were you saying yours is?
I say my item will be the storage device on which I'm keeping all the data for this current project, which is probably the most important for myself and might be for the entire scientific community, or at least as per my understanding.
Well, what we'll do, let's take you into things with a quick recap, and then I'll let you know where we are at. When we began, we had our introductions to each of you, and we had a little bit of a adventure here as Isaac was in a flight simulator and was called up to the bridge of the ship that his family and a lot of other people were on in order to perform a service for the people of the United Progressive Peoples, which is to recover a thing, which is a very odd-looking thing and something that, well, caused some trouble because after we had our little scrappy flight and, dodging bullies, we kind of did the same thing with Danner. Except dodging bullies was dodging stressed out and very survivalist mentality surviving crew members. As the ship was in red alert, it was almost going to self-destruct. There was also a United Americas naval ship coming in to, I guess, investigate or also violate sovereign UPP space. I mean, there's airspace, but it's space. And things were getting pretty messed up as there was also something aboard this recon vessel, which was nicknamed the Cicada. And in a scramble after defusing the self-destruct, you, Danner, and Isaac were able to hop into a surgical, like a surgical pod, after having eventually correctly set it to a cryosleep stasis, and that was the last that you had known. I will say this as well, in full confession to my players and audience. In last week's session, the way that I did panic was slightly off. It was there is a failure point to the action, but that's not until later. That being said, Danner, you handled the extra stress I laid upon you very well, and so clearly I meant this the whole time in order to ratchet up the tension. You performed. You passed the test. There we go. That's the. Yes, my hands are now clean of my mistake. And
yeah, literally dumped everything on Child.
Well,
who's 8 to 10?
Appetizer. All right. I mean, you're just a smaller morsel. So then we flash over to a different ship. Meanwhile, elsewhere, we had Dr. Iskander here inside the front cargo bay of the Emmet. And there was a very curious looking asteroid to be determined, as it was made of kind of some looks like melted rock and metal. There's some weird kind of rust, something that was growing over it. Science team is on it, and you were called to the captain's quarters, where you sat down with the captain, who is also a university official here. You had a fun little talk together, and that led us, while things were going on in the background, we got a tour, a little bit of a tour of the Emmet here, which. There's the main decks, and then we have a deck above and a deck below. We then hopped into one of the 2 shuttles aboard the Emmet, and for Jim's intro here, you took the black shuttle. There is a red shuttle and a black shuttle. You took the black shuttle. Over a course of a couple days, Dr. Iskander was there with you. Of course, we have our very good pilot here, nicknamed Benny. Benny very expertly flew the shuttle, and you and a small security team were checking out a thing. This is a very weird thing. It looks like a very lumpy space potato. It's also very large. There was a crater in the front, but also evidence of maybe like 2 other ships towards, well, I guess what would be the front as you were approaching it. Though there was also evidence of a UA naval vessel kind of stuck to the side. And it was also kind of being fused in with this rock. It was definitely not in a it wasn't in the best shape, and there was no obvious signs of life aboard the ships, with the exception of one of the ones that was plastered to the front, kind of like I don't know, kind of like you hit a horsefly with your car as you're driving and it leaves like a nice right on the front. Well, there was a on the front of this giant space potato, and it was kind of glowing red, which drew your attention. And sure enough, taking the security, like the away team, down onto the potato, there was a very in an out of character term for Alien being kind of retro tech, right? Your screens are almost like just monochrome green or orange, maybe. Ooh, if you got the upgrade. But even this looked like an old, like 50s era, 40s era hospital. It had like white tiles. It had it was a very. It looked old fashioned. And you had seen that there was a surgical pod in the middle of it that was containing something kind of frosted over. You couldn't quite look in there. And after some exploration, which unfortunately, because we ran out of time towards the end, I couldn't give you the haunted house tour of the ship. But please believe me as the GM, this was a haunted house tour. I was meant to give you a couple spooks and scares. Kind of some creepy, wow, that's a thing? That metal looks really melted and rent or bitten. Okay, and then you find this place that is actually just like covered in tile that was seemingly left alone. You're even able to like get in there because like the hull of the ship that was at the front of the potato, it was melted or removed or eaten away or something, so you were able to just kind of go down in there. You had some exploration, a couple moments where you're like, something. Your marine instincts were just I don't know, like, this is, come on crew, let's get this done. Let's like decouple this surgical bay and get it over to the black shuttle. And that's what you did. Making it aboard, you Jim, you and your team, everyone, you got a couple days ride back to the Emmet, and you were able to drop off the surgical bay back in the front section here with the asteroid, which that metal looks a lot more familiar now that you actually have gotten to see a comparative example. And yes, so there were some commands given out about containment, about quarantine procedure. Dr. Iskander is acting very methodically, and over the course of time here, as the medical crew and other scientists have been following Dr. Iskander as he is the lead scientist. Now, he's not the lead doctor, but I mean, there's not exactly conflict. But where I'm going to take us is a jump, a short jump, as the contents of this pod have been revived. And a meeting has been called as the staff of the Emmet now have 2 new passengers, an adult and a child. And the captain has asked that, of course, the head of security be here. The captain will be here. And, of course, Dr. Iskander, you can be here as well, because this is going to fall within your realm. We can have I mean, there's not a lot of people awake right now on the Emmet. At any point in time, there's maybe 30-ish crew that are operating. But if you would like someone outside the door, that's fine. And the head doctor is not going to be here because the head doctor has already checked out the patients and have released them for what is to come.
They will still be in isolation.
What's that?
We would still be in the isolation. Those who have been on the ship, those who have been on the boat, which have gone to rescue, they would still be in isolation until I am convinced that we do not carry this, whatever this possibly biological thing is.
Yes, the doctor will share records with you of what he was able to extract from the surgical pod, as well as give you charts from your own instruments aboard the ship. There's no radiation. The only thing they're suffering from is the fact that they've been in hypersleep for a while now, and they just the worst thing was that they're needing rehydrated, and they looked kind of dirty and bloodied up, but there's no other lingering signs. They've been given.
Do we have some sort of logs how long they've been out?
It would be in the device. If it was plugged in long enough to keep them frozen, then there would be at least some kind of timer log that was accessed when we plugged it in.
There will be some information for that, yes. Which I'm not hand waving it away, but I want to make sure I don't want to drop the points that I'm putting out there, because
yeah.
And then we can revisit them. So yes, they have been given I guess like standard issue, like whatever, spare civilian clothing. It's not a ship uniform like they're working on it, but it's like, think kind of generic, like very like a very pleasant off-white, which the Emmet really that's the theme. Everything here is just so crisp. So Danner and Isaac, you have been fitted. Of course, you can have your own emotions, your own questions, as you've been surrounded by people you don't know, a ship you don't know. One second. I'm going to give them a prompt, and then we'll start getting you together. So if you have your own questions, you can bring them up. But this is going to be now the time where all of you are going to get to sit together and try and put 2 and 2 together as to what's going on. Because the medical staff... Oh, go ahead now.
I was say, the 2 security are sticking with them.
That's fine. They can be escorted around.
Yeah.
I got nothing other than just basically roleplay moments, so...
And this is going to be your chance now. Look, in blatant out-of-character terms, I, as the GM, this is me getting the party together. So, if there's a little bit of suspension of disbelief, I'm not trying to screw any of you over story-wise, but I do need a reason to get you all together. So,
I think the best way for him to basically kind of be introduced to the party is that he's basically kind of staying close to people that he knows, especially from the ship. So, and trying to figure out where he is. Isaac is trying to figure out where he is, and he'll try to, in like a childlike manner, he'll explain some things that he has experienced. He doesn't mention everything, but he would at least mention what he's affectionately calling the red rust. And he would kind of try to basically interact with people that he thinks would be in charge of that kind of like area.
You are under security and a kid, and no one's gonna talk to you. So,
yeah.
And in all honesty, don't even take it personally. I mean, if you want to, because you're a kid, that's fine. Danner, you and Danner you're not being treated like criminals, but you're escorted everywhere. And while this is not the United Americas, which is more in the direct Cold War with the United Progressive Peoples, from the markings you've seen, this is from the independent colonies, so it's like neutral territory. But still, anything that's not UPP is not UPP. So if anything, Isaac, you and Danner are welcome to have like a sit down and a talk. And believe me, in other circumstances, like if it was just us at the kitchen table running, I would love to actually, offer that, and we would go as many sessions as necessary. If you want to bring it up in the conversation you're going to have with Cyril and Jim, that's fine. It's just like Family Guy. Oh yeah, Danner, you remember that time we talked about whatever? And it happened. Unfortunately, we weren't there for it, but you're welcome to weave that sort of stuff into.
I'm assuming me and Mr. Danner are more or less kind of escorted by the same guards.
Yes. So you are taken. Through the ship. You're not blindfolded or handcuffed or anything, because so far you've been cooperative. But man, this place is... What?
Also, child. What am I going to do? I thought I could go grab one of their pistols and shoot up the place.
As you're taken into the lounge, it lights up, and this is something that you've noticed as well. As you walk, the ship will turn off the lights behind you, but also turn on the lights ahead of you. It has been explained that it's part of just a power saving, because there's a lot of other things here. For Danner and Isaac, the air on this ship is, oh my god, this is crisp, pure air. The water doesn't taste like not water. This is superb. And on top of that, I mean, if we want to play into however much you may or may not want to, I'm not going to commit you to it, but just the luxury of the bourgeoisie here, just all these automatic things, and now you walk into a lounge that it lights up, and there's a big screen that would look outside, but instead now you get some dolphins swimming in an ocean as if you're underwater, and it's very peaceful. Everything here is nice and padded and soft, and there's a nice carpet, and
happy noises coming from the kid.
Probably so. But you are all four of you will open up here, and of course the same will go with we'll go to Doc and Sarge too. I know Sarge is the super abbreviate. I'm sorry, but if you wanted to introject something in the conversation or ask me a question on the side, that's fine. But I wanted to at least get the four of you in a room and go play for a little while.
Yeah.
So,
but I think the first thing that my character will say, he will say specifically to Danner, Mr. Danner, what do you think's going to happen to us?
Excuse me, I'm Danner.
Oh wait. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm
Dr. Danner. I think he's talking to me.
Yeah, you're Dr. Zarin.
Zarin. Sorry. Fuck.
Yeah.
I completely forgot who I was with. How the fuck in and out of character.
It's a common name of Danner.
Yeah.
Wait, you're Danner too?
I'm Jim Danner. You're Danner
oh.
Zarin.
Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, my name is Danner. First name Danner.
Last name Danner here.
It makes sense. Maybe we should start with introductions.
Well, I'm Isaac. Isaac Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, very nice to meet you.
Yeah, sorry, I'm
Dr.
was one of the medics on the other ship. How long have we been out?
We'll get to that in a minute.
What date did you go to sleep in?
I lost track after a couple months.
Unfortunately, we didn't have much time to catalog that data.
We'll figure it out when the data from your sleeping capsule will be completely
Wait, are we still in?
deciphered.
Are we still attached to our old ship? Are we still floating in the same space?
Your old ship is a couple
Elsewhere.
of days away from here on a shuttle.
Hopefully the monster bug didn't hop on board.
Monster bug?
Yeah, monster bug.
There was a bit of a chaos going on our ship. Unfortunately, something happened. There was people, they were going into survival mode. Not exactly sure. It might have been maybe one of the bots on the ship that was going crazy, do a malfunction.
Okay, hold on a second. Hold it, kid. Hold on a second. Mr. Zarin, medical may have released you. Give me one reason why I shouldn't put you and the kid in the brig for your own sanity's sake. Because it sounds to me like you've been out in space way too long.
Chief Danner, let us finish with introductions.
First of all, I'm not a chief. I am Sergeant Major James Danner, USCMC retired, and I'm head of security on board this boat.
Yes, I remember that. Since you are chief of security on board, I've been calling you Chief Danner for a while. Would you rather call me Sarge?
No, if you're gonna call me something, Master Guns. That's the term for a Marine Corps Sergeant Major. He's a Master Gunnery Sergeant. That's the term for a Master Gunnery Sergeant.
Let us get back to the introductions. I am Dr. Iskander.
Hello, Doctor.
Cyril Iskander. I'm adjunct professor of astrophysics, University in North America. Are you medic as a doctor or medic as technician?
A little bit of both. I kind of had to take charge a lot on our last ship, so I was kind of the lead medic on that ship for the last few months that we were floating in space.
I will call you Dr. Zarin then. Would it be okay with you?
That's fine with me.
Excellent. So, easier. Would you rather be called Isaac or Mr. Johnson?
Isaac is usually what I respond to, and Mr. Johnson was my father.
Excellent. Isaac. And your father, Mr. Johnson. Makes sense. Very well. You have been a medic on board of your ship. We do not have any data about any current sickness. We did not perform any brain scans on you, I believe. Are you sure you saw what you saw?
Yeah, it wouldn't necessarily be a big thing to do a psych evaluation, but I can assure you that we are of sound mind.
Pretty sure it was a big bug.
Self-evaluation is always the least reliable.
I understand children are given to flights of fancy.
No, like, it was huge. It was big as, like, a person.
Big like Mr. Zarin or big like Mr. Danner?
How big are you guys?
I'm actually not that big. I'm right at 6'180".
About as tall as him. As I point to the security chief.
Do you have... Oh, but what... How familiar are you with biology? What kind of bug was that?
I'm not certain. It was like a weird bug thing.
So unfortunately, I didn't get to have eyes on whatever individual was causing
know
some
is-
havoc in the area, but
It could be anything from a housefly to a moth to a.
I know it. I know it was black.
Right, so it wasn't a honeybee.
Like
unfortunately,
pure black.
it's not going to be too easy to tell at this point. There was at a certain point, lights just shut down. Our systems went awry. Visibility was terrible. It could have honestly been anything.
I
like to hide in
assume
shadows.
that makes sense if it was black and it was not visible. Uh, is there any sort of corroborating evidence to existence of an entity hiding in shadows?
So, first of all, why were you guys out here in the first place? How did you guys end up, encountering us? We were out here just doing some scouting missions. What drew you to our?
We're here
Like,
on
I'm very
site.
glad that we're here, safe and sound. But I'm kind of curious what you were doing out here.
If I dare say it, we're here for science. We are studying astrophysical phenomena.
Then well, it's not only that, but the red rust was also a factor in too.
I'm actually particularly interested in that red rust. What can you tell me about that?
It's red, it's moist, it's gross, and it
weird
eats metal.
So that's something that actually I started noticing on the ship itself before our systems went down. It seemed like there was some sort of object out in space. We were in the area too, observing, and it started attaching itself, I guess.
Yeah,
better way
I know
to,
what that
uh,
object looked like. I know what that object looked like. It looked like a big old beetle.
Hold on just a minute. Dr. Iskandar, did you ever get a mass spectrometer result from that stuff?
My laborants are working on it, but I'm particularly interested in that red rust because spectrographically, I find it quite similar to the phenomenon we've been discovering for a while.
Also, this so-called melted metal. Do we know what kind of metal it was? What material it's composed of?
At this point, unfortunately, I do not have answers for reasons beyond me.
Okay, so we
Well-
still haven't gotten a mass spectrometer of it.
Well, we'll say because time has passed, right? Because there was quarantine and such. Now, there are specificities that I just don't know how to convey or process. So I am going to just give the gist, and we'll play with the gist of things.
Right?
So like particular compositions and whatever, I'm gonna just use layman's terms to describe what's going on. Now, I mean, if I were to ever actually sit down and spend a lot more time, I would have all this stuff written out as a module to give to people. What has been researched so far in this time, because the ship, the Emmet, has kept ahead the same distance of this object. So it's there, and you're trying to get readings, you're trying to do comparisons of anything you can detect, or as Dr. Iskandar was rethinking, finding the answer in the non-answer, using the negative space of what you're missing, to look at things differently, to look at the darkness as the answer and not the answer in the darkness. From what you have been able to determine, the metal is mostly similar to a sample that was taken from the ship that you had explored, Jim. There are some slight compositional differences, but nothing that would make it something other than another UPP ship, as this is probably some proprietary blend, an alloy of the resources that those worlds have, which we'll say it's a unique one because the UPP, as far as like a spacefaring civilization goes, is often described as being resource poor. So they have to make do with the resources they have. Yeah, Cyril.
So it's not like an armor.
What you're saying, this is a formless, shapeless, messed up slug of UPP ship's hull.
As well as something
systems?
that appears to be rock, but upon the time that your crew has been able to examine,
no silicon.
It's igneous rocks are formed from lava, right? It's a volcanic rock.
Right.
Yes.
This
and
is
metamorphic
a rock formed from something biological as the flowiness. That's what was adding the liquidity to this rock. However,
so we got a biofilm on this thing.
That would technically make it a form of sedimentary, but a sediment deposited rather than built up.
Yes, though the displays are not quite like fossilized.
No, because it's formed in the vacuum of space without any sort of gravity.
Also, based on the examination as best as you could do, which is really just using your eyes and like a microscope and normal light and everything, the rust, something on it is related to this rock. Whatever you want to call it, we're going to say this is a scientific breakthrough of, I don't know. It's a would petrified flesh be? It's a callus. There we go. It's it's callusite. I don't know. You could call it whatever you want.
My question about the metal was to just confirm it is not an armor grade metal. It's something that is more structural but not armor, right?
Correct. This would have been an interior piece, as the ships that usually patrol this section of space are recon ships on paper, but in your encounters with them, they do have armor and weapons. So it would be a military ship, but not really a gunship. It is a ship that has extra reinforced plating and some guns, but it's supposedly out just to recon the frontier border. And so yeah, the piece you found would have been more consistent with like some interior bulkhead or something, and it's mixed in with this kind of petrified biometal slurry, and you're finding that this rust, it has not increased in size, it has not reacted to anything in particular otherwise through the tests that have been run. Dr. Iskander, you'd have a list of the whatever, you probably have a prioritized list of do this, then this, then this, as you try to like squeeze the bubbles out of the tube of understanding. You're just trying to get things in a process. Though, putting very simple puzzle pieces together, you all saw a giant crater in the front of the object. I've been calling it a big space potato, a very lumpy, rippled looking thing.
Yeah.
There is a big crater in the front. There were signs of two horsefly splats on the front of the potato, and you went into one of them because of this medical bay, which had no it had metal, but it wasn't primarily metal. It looked refurbished. There was very nice tile. It was ceramic. It was other things that was lining the area. And
ceramics, which was the only one not touched by the red rust,
and
which was probably the whatever.
And yes, that is what the kid. That's what Isaac calls it affectionately because it's red. It looks like rust, red rust.
So something must have happened that caused the crater in the potato, as well as flung this mass forward, such that you were able to capture it and begin studying it.
Something probably have hit that thing and tossed it out of the cloud.
Well, for the most part, our ship's navigation kind of gave out quite a ways through when we were approaching the object. Most of our navigation kind of shut down, so we were kind of just spinning around this object, and little by little, it just kind of started sort of like attaching itself like a plaque to the ship itself, but it would not get on to the windows itself. It would only be attracted to metal.
What are the windows of your ship made of?
Space glass.
Maddie, they're like,
just whatever. Just
Glass.
Okay, so it's not like they use transparent aluminum or anything.
We'll find out. We can actually sample it at later time.
Premium acrylic
at this
rated
point-
for the depth of space into which they would travel.
Okay.
So 1 atmosphere.
Probably quite more than that, but
No, if it's rated for,
One
yeah,
atmosphere is all you need in space.
because that's the
That's
interior
the
pressure.
difference.
true.
But yeah, that's kind of like the first thing that started giving out, and after that, we were already kind of, we weren't out there just to like observe anything else other than this particular object. So when we got stuck out there, we kind of sent out signals. So I'm just trying to figure out if we're still. Was anything else found? Are we the only people that you guys took out? Because there were quite a few people in there.
You were the only that we found.
Do you by any chance remember what is the last position of your ship that you remember?
I remember that there was a lot of people still left and a lot of screening.
I was thinking more as
Poor Isaac.
coordinates.
Also
Right.
count.
Planet. What's the last planet you visited?
Also countdown. 5 minute self-destruction.
By the way, kid, you say you were, how old are you?
I'm 8.
Right. Well, congratulations, kid. You're 15.
Looks at him kind of confused. No, not. I'm 8 years old.
Not chronologically. You were in that chamber for 7 years.
Chronologically, not biologically.
Yeah, so I'm conveying this to the guys right now that if whatever was out here, whatever maybe attacked this other ship, it might have not been an attack. Unfortunately, our captain in the last in the last hour, I think they just couldn't handle it anymore. Set off a self-destruct. Most likely, those giant craters might have just been that. They might have gotten stuck out here just like us, and no one came out to save them.
I doubt that, simply because if a successful self-destruct would have
I'm pretty
obliterated
sure
you.
this was not a self-destruct because As far as I'm concerned, that capsule is not graded for a ship self-destruct.
Um,
Oh
Exactly.
no, our ship, I was able to shut it off. I'm talking about the object in space that
maybe
that
maybe a big
we
old
got.
rock hit it, an asteroid. Maybe
Sure.
it hit it. Maybe it
Well,
hit it
you
in the
said you were
top.
under attack. Was this
Mhm.
red rust a result of the weapon used in the attack?
The red rust didn't cause the monster.
Are you saying it was biological weapon?
Uh,
And the monster didn't cause the red rust, huh?
no, I don't think it did.
Did you guys happen to have a sample of this material?
I look at Cyril.
We are working on it. We definitely have some sort of samples, and
So,
red
you know,
rust would be enough description for
if
it.
we're okay, and if we're, you know, if whenever we get cleared, I would like to assist in any type of assessment of the material as well.
Well, at this point, I'm not liking hands in the laboratory, but if you really
No,
want
no,
to
of course, a
provide,
man's, laboratory is their sacred place. I understand completely.
you're misunderstanding. I have a lot of postdocs working in the laboratories in shifts right now because we have these new samples to work with. It would be hugely more efficient for you to provide accounts from your previous interactions with this Rust.
So
Like,
that's the only thing I can really kind of
um,
explain how this
I,
material works is
I,
it's kind of like a
I,
biofilm that just creates layers, but it only seems attracted to metal. That's
mhm.
as far as I've observed.
I do remember one thing. This
Go
red
ahead.
rust. Before the whole ship started, and before the whole red rust incident, I did see this weird big old what I thought was a beetle in the red dust falling off of it, floating in space.
Yeah, that was the object that we were sent out to go observe.
Mm-hmm.
Could you elaborate on that, please? What sort of beetle object?
It was kind of Orbis. Looked very weird.
The one that was as big as me.
I don't think it. I don't think it was related.
Was it the one that attacked your ship?
Maybe.
Dr. Zara?
So we didn't actually, from what I observed, we didn't get attacked. It was already uh, lifeless, if I can say it that way. It was just floating around in space.
There was a lifeless body of
It
a
was a
beetle?
it was kind of like a giant ship mass of a object. I'm not too familiar of what kind of object it was, but that's what we were out there to observe.
So the unknown
Uh,
object was a beetle, and there was a big black bug the size of me that hitched a ride on it and attacked you guys. Is that what happened?
I wouldn't say a beetle of sorts. It might have
Yeah.
looked like something like that, but
that's what I thought it was.
Perhaps we would be better off establishing a timeline of sorts. What happened first of all the
Well,
described activities?
well, I was in a flight simulator. Was called up to the brig. Mom was up there. Dad went out to basically grab the object, brought it on board, and then
When did
everything
that
started.
happen?
About 5-10 minutes after my space flight was over.
The space date. Some sort of temporal
Um,
coordinate.
what was the space station?
so Maddie,
Hey, mother!
this whole interaction that he had with the dad that happened for quite some time because they were out there doing experiments,
Yeah.
right? So it wasn't like a day; it was an
Right.
ongoing.
The
Oh,
shuttles the shuttles were sent out to affix towing cables, and like you were, whether or not you expressed this to the crew of the Emmet. So like I'm speaking to you as the UPP representatives here. the ships were sent out to go collect it and haul it back for observation, experimentation, whatever, for the benefit of everyone, kind of a thing. And so the shuttles from the 3 recon ships flew out and were, attaching whatever, like tow cables or I know in space it's not quite here. That's the concept anyway. You were going to tow it and salvage it, and so there was interaction. There were, trying to go out and grab samples to run in your labs and everything else. And the jump in between your intro and Isaac's intro was a month, maybe? Like, everything was happening very quickly, and it was so fatiguing because you could hardly rest. So days or shifts or whatever were blurring together. Everything was fight or flight, emergency stuff. Like you went right into rationing. People were disappearing. Like teams were just trying to emergency weld hull breaches, and you could just like see yourself very slowly. Like maybe it's because your propulsion was out or something, but like you were getting closer to this object, and you remember there was an impact, not like one that destroyed the ship, but it was just such a controlled like pull-in that you contacted it, and since then it was almost you were either sinking into it and or it was growing up around the ship.
I think it was July when it all started.
Okay.
And as a note for Jim, again, because we had to abbreviate this, in your haunted house tour, Jim, of the potato, really the interface, with like through this UPP recon ship, you would have seen a tunnel that would it was not a part of the ship. It doesn't, at least not a metallic, like a square, a rectangular hallway. It very much looked like rippled, like kind of ribbed almost. There were no lights, there were no panels. It was just a tunnel that went back, and there was an end to it. But the tunnel, despite not being a part of the ship, at least not overtly. Maybe there was a structure under this kind of rippling rock or something, but it did end. But it seemed to be a sudden end. It wasn't a bulkhead door, it wasn't a pressure door, but it did just seem to like cap.
Okay. Yeah, so they're very aware that UPP does send out scouts just to observe objects. So that's kind of like the amount of information that I want to convey as well. So that's why I keep going back and forth of like, we were just, we saw an object, not necessarily that I wanted to take it for resources or anything like that.
Maybe like a month passed and then the whole explosion thing was happening.
Okay. Just to give you a clue, the last dated entry that we have on your pod was July of 2176. It's currently June of 2183.
Wow.
Odds are anyone who knew you who was not on board that vessel probably has assumed that you have died.
Oh, Mom and Dad already got killed by the monster bug.
I was mostly addressing the doctor here.
My condolences.
It was terrifying.
No, it's we're sent out here to do a certain task, and there are risks, but this was not one I was expecting.
I presume you would not sign up to get eaten by a space potato.
But I think the bug and the rust are related to some extent, but I'm not certain how.
Big bug, beetle, potato. Did we somehow end up in Iowa?
I never been to Iowa.
Idaho, maybe.
Yeah, Idaho, yeah. One of those useless states. Out of character? No, I don't think so. That's just something he said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Useless states on useless planets.
Why would I need to use a hoe?
That's a state down on Earth.
If you get downside on the planet surface, you might find out.
Yeah. You might be a farmer someday.
Well, I mean, I kind of gave you guys the extent of what it is that we were doing out there. If there is any other like psych evaluation that you need us to go through, or any type of medical examination that we haven't done yet, this is pretty much I'm just trying to figure out what was on that ship as well.
Well, you will definitely go through psych evaluation. I assume you've done the basic questionnaire. You will probably go through the full thing.
I mean, if you need to, I do
point,
have my recent credentials, and I do have a psych evaluation for you ready if you need one.
Do you have any implants?
No.
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, an MRI will find out real quick, one way or the other.
if you do not know whether there are any implants, you probably do not want to go through MRI. That will be explosively bad.
Yes, I'd rather get a physical
Alright, a CAT
first.
scan first.
Yes. Speaking of cats,
He's not in here. He's in my quarters.
very well. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Zaran, Mr. Johnson. Isaac. At this point, I believe we need to throw all our abilities into discovering what that red stuff is, and once we are capable of finding a way to penetrate the scanning blocking, we should study what that potato is.
So the laboratory that you guys have the sample in, I believe it's the same one that our pod was in. Are the
no.
floors made of some sort of metallic material?
No. Hold on. That's not where they. It's not where it is.
Sorry, out of character. It was separate, right?
Yeah, you woke up in a different place. In the same pod, but different place.
As long as I think as long as it doesn't touch any metal, it should be fine.
Cyril, you know that it does touch metal, but it hasn't spread.
At this point, I think I will have two major points to make to my stuff. First of all, observe specifically for and immediately report any appearance of the red dust wherever it's not placed. Keep it away from the metal, and throw the full battery of tests specifically for the penetrative power with any electromagnetic.
Matt, are we still in the vicinity of the giant
The potato.
amalgamation?
No, we are a few 100,000 kilometers away from it. Just making sure not to touch it.
The very not specific distance would be if you hopped in a shuttle and sped towards it for a couple days. Then that's the distance you're keeping. So in the grand scheme of space, yeah, you're pretty close. But in the immediacy, it's back a ways still.
All right, sounds good. That so in character, I'm just kind of like, as long as we're away from it, I feel kind of reassured that we're kind of safe right now.
I chose 100,000 kilometers because that's roughly 1/3 of distance between Earth and Moon.
That works. in non-scientific terms, you are a ways off.
I mean, yeah, it's
Both
space.
go away.
Not a ways away, but a ways.
Like a boot throw away. Yeah.
At least a couple day flight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, right. Figure out any insulation or figure out how to penetrate that insulation. Whether electromagnetic means, sonar means, whatever, particle bombardment, whatever.
Magnetic field, gravitic pulse.
Oh, gravitic force would be fun, but that would probably be expensive in energy terms at this point. If that
Depends on-
happens, if that works, we'll work with that.
It depends on how FTL works. We could use the FTL engines to generate a gravitic pulse.
Danner at this point is making note of all this equipment, and he's just like, "Oh my god, what is this ship?"
Like I said, we brought a
My
lot of
character doesn't really. I've only been on the Scarab, so he doesn't know any of this. Like, all this is basically brand new to him.
And yes, something that looks like this is strapped to my leg.
Once you go through
I just read what is in red space in our text conversation, and UPP space potato eat you.
The captain checks a portable computer here. Excuse me, gentlemen. It looks like I have something to tend to. Continue as you will. I fully trust that you're capable of this.
Oh, Captain, and I assume you already heard about that red rust. If anything comes up, please do let us know.
Yeah, of course. We'll.
I understand you also deal with the non-scientific community on board, but we will need to know if anything like this starts happening on this ship. We do not want to be caught with our proverbial pants down.
Oh, of course. There's a fine line to walk when it comes to, well, I guess the edge of understanding something.
Captain, one suggestion.
Yeah.
Just to keep my peace of mind as your security officer, keep a flashlight on you at all times.
Oh, all right. Are you worried about something?
Just something that the newcomers said. Just in case.
Oh, yeah, I've got one back in my quarters.
Thank you, sir.
I feel like I'm forgetting something. Am I forgetting something?
As the captain, real quick here, Isaac. As the captain gets up and walks out, the security outside of the room snaps to attention, along with two other crew members. It looks like they might have been having a conversation or something, and the captain
as he
walks
leaves,
out.
I
They're
stand.
like, sir, and go ahead, Jim.
I was just saying, as he leaves, I stand.
Oh, okay. Are you?
He's an officer. He's leaving the room.
Oh,
I
all right.
stand. Yeah.
So the two security and two other crew, all just kind of like snap to attention and sort of back away. The two crew are kind of looking down a little sheepishly, and the Captain Otto just kind of waves them off and like, do whatever it is that you're doing, please. And he walks down one of the hallways.
Does your captain usually leave everything to you guys?
He knows, he trusts his crew, he delegates as is appropriate.
He
I'm coming
basically
from a like.
yeah.
So I guess
Basically-
Jim's character doesn't really know this because we were a little bit going through our characters at that time, but my character was kind of like the lower middle management of like the ship during this whole like debacle that happened. So I was always like stressed and like everything was going towards me, but I never got any recognition for stuff. So it's kind of I'm just fascinated by
And
the
he
type
looks at
of
you.
like leadership out here.
Yeah, he looks at you and says, "Well, the captain's a civilian. He's not military, so he simply takes his information from his heads of department heads and uses that to make a decision. Usually following our recommendations, unless there's a reason not to."
Captain is
You
a
guys
scientist.
have a very nice,
Dr.
operation going on
Otto-
here.
Dr. Otto understands
think
what
he's,
he knows, understands what other know.
I feel like I'm forgetting something. I feel like I forgot to mention something.
What might that be, young'un?
Oh, fire!
What about fire?
Please elaborate.
The monster bug doesn't like fire.
Who caused fire?
The monster bug does not like fire.
Monster bug does
So
not
if we have a
like
big black
fire?
bug on the ship, light it on fire.
Is it the Shiftarian-sized bug or the bigger one before that?
Or the one the size of me.
Yes.
Which one? There's a few that we mentioned just then. Do you mean all of them?
Yes.
I mean,
Well,
most
that's-
biological, beings
I
have an
don't like.
aversion to fire.
Yeah, I don't like being caught on fire myself.
Am I a bug, Isaac?
I couldn't resist, but yeah, Isaac would just basically mention it as the most childish way possible.
Dr. Zaran?
Because
was
he's a
that him?
child, he doesn't know better.
Did you use flamethrowers or plasma flame against?
Laser
Bugs?
heat.
No, we didn't have any interaction with whatever was on that ship. I still don't understand what it was. It could have been a person. It could have been a rogue. Sorry, out of character. Matt, do we have? I know
Since-
some ships have like robots on the ships. Did we have any of those?
Any a
Only-
synth or an android?
Mm,
no.
there might have been an android like in service to the captain, but
Maybe,
the
like,
ships
one?
were overcrowded with humans.
Yeah, so I'm not too sure what was there. But,
only
we didn't face
Oh.
anything. Luckily, we had run-ins with a couple people. Luckily, we were not in the vicinity to get attacked, but something was going on there. I'm still pretty sure it was just panic from the ship almost exploding.
Did you have
Uh,
any replicants on board?
rats?
Replicants, synths, androids.
GM.
No,
please.
there was like maybe
Don't
the
you think
one
you
that
use
the captain
replicants?
had.
So unfortunately, unlike you guys have in your ship, we didn't have this type of amenities subjected to us.
Uh-uh.
What was your question, Cyril?
Does UPP use replicants to my best knowledge?
Not a lot. It's a luxury, and it would undermine the sanctity of human labor. So they're there. They're used in situations, but they're not. Not that they're ubiquitous in independent colony or even UA. They would be way more common in those. Maybe even in the independent colonies, since it's a smaller population that would need to rely on more automation and things like that. In fact, you even have some of the Seegson Working Joe units aboard here. In fact, 4. Technically, it's 6. 2 are just in like standby mode in the closet. You have 4 that are just always doing something, whether it's cleaning, helping run an experiment. Probably Isaac and or Danner. There's one that it's wearing a wig. That's something weird too. They decorated their synths. It's kind of parted down the middle. It told jokes. That's it. this expensive robot works the lounge and reminds you to tip your waitstaff, even though no one is paid here. It's.
I do not trust that particular set. I don't care about the others. That's fine. That one I don't trust, and if I see
We're
the
talking synth, not
biggest
graphic,
hint,
right? No,
No, we
it's the
don't
same
have
in this. Yeah.
that available to
Well,
our. We
well,
believe work is to be done with the hands.
We believe that works to be done.
So no hammers or screwdrivers, because otherwise it's
either way.
hypocrisy.
No,
is
like most of the stuff was done by
what
people.
I'm going into.
Systems fail all the time. We try to keep everything within human reasoning.
Yes, well, failed synth can do a lot of damage.
Well, I don't think it was the simp. All I know is that it was black, mean, scary, very stealthy,
Isaac,
and makes this weird.
here's screen.
Make weird noises.
You can draw your back on it while we are talking.
Isaac, while
weird
you're
noises.
handed while you're handed like a paper, digital or otherwise, to draw, the door to the lounge opens. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What do I roll to basically draw?
I'm not worried about it. I'll tell you what. You
Have to
use
actually
the
draw.
draw tool, and I want you to draw the bug in the view screen here, next to the dolphins. Okay, and that's your drawing, is Isaac. So just click the little paintbrush and go to town. Now Isaac is drawing, and I don't know. We'll say Cyril. It's on a digital pad, and it's actually being projected up with these dolphins swimming on a loop that is supposed to be relaxing, but I don't know. Whatever. Maybe you like dolphins, maybe you don't. But while
Designers chose dolphins, and I don't care.
while it's showing up on the screen here, the door opens, and Jim, your two security guards are standing in the doorway, and one kind of like elbows the other. It's like, fine, sir. Can we have you for a moment, please? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
Something like
right.
this.
I look at the three gentlemen. I'll be right back.
Please do.
And I head up to where the other two security guards are. Along the way, I do something on my tablet so that the dolphins now have googly eyes.
Make it so.
But yeah, Isaac tries his best. He is not an artist, but he basically draws something like this.
That looks like a airport trolley.
Out in the hallway, and I'll zap us back over to. Oh, that's not the right music. But Coffee, can we get the hallway scene out in front, please? Your two staff here are. Sir, we didn't want to interrupt, but figured it's better safe to let you know. As we were standing guard, well, so and so names. I mean, maybe you've heard of them. You might be familiar with the active roster. I mean, it's only like 30-ish people, so maybe you keep tabs of them. You know, whatever. Joe and Susie. Fill in the gap. So we're standing guard. They were walking by, talking to each other, and one of them sounded a little bit like "nah." The other one said "yeah, huh." The other one said "nah," and of course we had to interject ourselves here. And they were saying that one of them was in the observation area, and or the recreation area, and swore that there was like space junk or something like on the hull. Like something drifted by. That's the most that we were able to understand. And I mean, I can understand why he was saying "nuh-uh," but she's like, "Yeah, huh." And anyway, with
Susie Durkins.
huh?
It was Susie Durkins that said they saw the floating space junk.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. Need to talk to them as soon as possible. By the way, did you get the update I sent y'all a few minutes ago?
They both look at each other, and then they kind of look down to their personal data pads. We're sure it's there, sir.
Never check the emails, dang.
Matt, did you see the update I sent them? In DMs?
One moment. I'm opening my personal data pad. Oh. This is role playing, everyone. I'm totally in the character of these NPCs. They quickly check and say, "Oh, yes, sir, it's right here." They show you your own message that you knew that you sent.
I look on their belts. Do they have? Are they armed and do they have their flashlight?
They have their standard issue stuff, but apparently they just stayed by the door the whole time. So while you were typing in your meeting, they just stayed there. They were probably gossiping. I mean, look, let's.
One of you go back and get 2 flashlights and bring it back to the both of you. One for each.
All right. I mean, I don't know when, and it's about that time when the one of the guards says when that all of the lights in the hallway turn red, and there's an alarm that goes off. Players, I mean, if you want to hear it, it's an alarm.
I point to the guard on the left. You do it now. Get the flashlights. Distribute them to every personnel now.
And
It's happening again!
Hull breach detected.
Oh, gosh.
Hull breach detected. Starboard engine. Hull breach.
Happening again!
Knock on the. Does the door open manually, or does it open automatically, or?
So what is going to happen here is while the hallway does have ventilation and pressure, as a hull breach has been called, the doors will have to be opened manually or through an override. You as a senior security person, I mean, there's electricity, but the lights have shifted to get attention as well. And also, instead of everything super brightly lit as you go, everything is lit in a low power red light setting. But you are going to need to go through the doors yourself, because if the breach extends, I mean, you don't want to be sucked out into space or cause the rest of the ship to have an interaction with the hard vacuum of space. So presumably you should still be able to walk down, and a door can automatically I'm gonna imagine that there's maybe a button press, something that you can do it. It won't do it automatically. You're not going to get the convenient Star Trek doors. But
second question is the lounge that they're in. Is it closer to the center of the ship, or is it closer to the hull of the ship?
So as we go here. Oh.
The red lights have scared the ship's cat.
Cat is smart.
So we have those are the quarters. So over here, you all are here towards the front of the ship, and the rec room was here towards the back. At least that's where the event was supposedly seen by someone who was back there working out and just kind of was looking out.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're all the way up here. For scale, and I forgot to write it down. The Emmet is about the size of a modern U.S. battleship. So it's not like, oh yeah, I'll be to the other end of the ship in a minute. Like, it's not a brief walk.
So it's roughly 400 meters.
And especially if you're not having doors conveniently open for you because the place is locked down due to a hull breach.
Yeah. So, like I said, so effectively from the back to the front, it's about 400 meters.
Now that's you, and so we're gonna pause. Jim, you are on the outside, back on the inside, on the other side of the door, and it's very easy to, well, kind of easy for you to meet up, because Doctor, you would have similar access privileges being a senior officer aboard the Emmet here. So you're here, you're pondering Isaac's drawing, and you get the lights go red. You hear the same thing. Hull breach detected. Hull breach detected. Emergency crew, please report.
It's happening again!
I presume I'm not emergency crew, but what is my standard operating procedure for this?
Oh yeah, Isaac just basically drops whatever he's drawing on, as he's saying, "It's happening again."
In this case for you, you are not obliged to get into a spacesuit and fix things. You keep people calm as an officer. Direct people. Like, this isn't your realm. If you volunteer for it, that's on you. But
where is the closest location I can access the system which have been used to study the samples? I need to update the data on my chip.
You know what? I forgot to drop. Oh, that's because this was I saved this before I added. On the other layers, you can actually see I put the here's the bunk area, here's a a data core and all this other. And so the one layer where I needed it in the immediacy, what you could do is it's in the biolab, not that far away. It's in the middle here, so you could duck out of the meeting room, make your way here, and there would be science terminals that you could interface with that would talk with your science terminals on the deck down.
In this case, I call, okay, Dr. Zammer, Isaac, perhaps you'd like to come with me for now.
Lead the way.
We will head to the dialogue.
Isaac is like looking around for like the nearest fit.
Please keep close. This is not a ship which you're familiar with, I presume. In the biolabs, we might get some equipment for you, Doctor, just in case. And I will be able to update some of the data which might be useful to me in the future. And we'll probably pick up Chief Donner on the way.
Well, depending, Jim, did you run off? I imagine you being security are going to have a procedure that you are expected to follow, but
basically,
I don't know.
What it is I immediately sent the one of the two, the one that was on the left, whichever one that was, to supplies and parts, which is where I assume that they would have just an ordinary flashlight. You get one for each of them. I can take my tablet and flip it around and use the camera flash as a flashlight until they get back, and if I need it. And if these guys leave, because I was about to open the door to suggest that we moved someplace a little bit less close to the hull, then I'm going to be going with them, but we still need the security here so that when the other person returns in about 2.5 minutes, they'll be, won't get suddenly running around with their heads cut off.
Danner, to you, I mean, well, this is an emergency and you might be having flashback. Now, Isaac's taking it worse, overtly anyway. But, I mean, what... Well, I guess you didn't directly see what Jim did, but effectively, I mean, having a flashlight on a data pad is like you're used to the brick-sized beige, like Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell mobile phones for your kind of like technology, and he just turned on a Galaxy with a flashlight built in, and you're like, I have little rubberized buttons and half of them don't light up anymore. Like what? So I mean, just as you're seeing this as kind of a cultural also gap, whatever you do with that, you could just be like, oh, I get the reference, haha, and then you roll with it or whatever. But just to put that out there, that what you're seeing happen here is another just, man, you're a man out of place and out of time, for sure. And even though, I mean, 7 years is 7 years, but man, what a difference just, 100,000 I mean, it's more than that, but, what a difference 100,000 kilometers makes. Like, just over that border from the UPP is this. So, anyway, that note aside, Isaac, are you curled up on the floor in the fetal position? What are you doing here?
He is hyperventilating right now.
Gotcha. You don't need to roleplay that, though. I understand.
He is
please
hyper.
don't pass out on stream.
Well, no, he's not like I'm not gonna pass out on stream, but like Isaac is like hyperventilating. He is full blown like panic, or like nearly like panic level. But he's like, okay.
Isaac?
I'll try to talk to him for a bit. Try to calm him down now that I'm kind of.
I'm good. I think.
I'll let him know that this isn't the ship that we were on.
I can hear you too.
These people know what they're doing. I mean, they have this. It's probably a scenario they've trained for many times.
Yes, we have people who train for this many times. I have to take a look at what's going on in the lab, because we have some laborants who are very good at what they do, but did not train that many times, so we'll need to keep an eye on them. Would you like to help me keep an eye on them, Isaac? Come on,
I will follow.
Now, for Cyril and Jim in particular, both of you are, as far as the crew of the Emmet goes, you are seasoned veterans on this ship, because the crew rotates. Like, it's just for most people, it's a cruise out and back. You get some college credits, you get, a line on your resume, and then you go work for, the colonies, you go work at Biotechnical National, you go work for Wayland-Yutani, So the crew, they're not incompetent, but they're inexperienced. They've gone through the basic drills, but these are a lot of, like, younger college kids that are out for, like, a part of their master's degree. This is
They're very smart of what to do, but they haven't actually experienced it.
Yes, they haven't done it. So this is their first real drill. And well, as this wasn't a drill,
this is life or death.
But anyway, that's why you as the seasoned officers, and by that I mean this wouldn't be known to Danner and Isaac, but by seasoned, like, they've actually stayed on for like 2 rotations of the crew. and not just
Whereas,
one.
we also have a little bit of salt and
well, yeah.
garlic and vinegar and yeah.
So just as a point of order to you two as officers among the crew. All right, so Cyril, you go. You know that okay, like as an officer, I hit the button. I'm recognized as a ranking officer, and the door will open up. Like you press the button, you get a green light around it, which shows that it's okay on the other side, and it opens up. There's Jim. Jim has just sent the
Left security.
Yeah, which is almost all of the active security right now are the two.
We have left security and right security.
Yeah. So the four of you are together just outside of this meeting room, where you are having this powwow here with your recovered crew members. However you want to consider them.
I presume this is not a drill because I was not warned. I will go to Biolab and check on my postdocs. Feel free to find me there at your convenience.
From what I can tell, by the way, for anyone who's looking at this map, each square on this map is up somewhere between 5 and 10 meters, if this is the size of a battleship.
Yeah, that would be about right.
Okay.
Anyway, because I know there are people in the chat asking about the map. Okay. I turn to right security. Wait here for your partner to get back with the flashlights. The second they're back, I basically, whatever the drill is for a hull breach, also make sure to lock down ventilation. Just in case there's further hull breaches, we don't want the ventilation in the ship to suddenly cause a cascade failure.
They start going through like a little notebook, like, oh no, no, no.
Do we need individual protectives?
I would suggest it if you've got if you've got access to them in the biolabs, that would be probably ideal.
I'm not sure the ones in the biolabs vacuum safe, but we'll see what we can scrounge up.
Well, consider that the armory where the armored suits are is on the opposite vertical side of the vessel, and then the opposite longitudinal side, very close to the rupture.
Ugh.
That is valuable information. I will make sure not to go that way.
Mm-hmm. Question, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
The map on the left with the meeting room and biolab, is that on the upper side of the
Yes.
upper deck, or is it okay?
Upper.
Yeah, then it's the lower rear deck is where the armory is. So we are about 300 meters away and 2 floors up.
Darn.
Do we need to awaken the crew? Actually,
Crew is
I think that's the captain's question.
the crew should be responding to the regulations that they were given when they came aboard. If they remembered to read them, I kind of emphasize as I glare at right security.
Why would you read that? That sounds like heavily dangerous.
Reading instructions?
No, like, if you don't read the instructions, isn't that, like, super dangerous?
Yes, it is.
What if there's what if there's, like, a fire?
Danner's confidence is waning at this point.
Okay, biolab it is. Feel free to contact me at your earliest convenience once you know what is going on.
I turn to right security. Like I said, you wait for left security to get back. Should be any minute now. the minute you both have flashlights, and hopefully they thought ahead and brought me one as well. By the way,
A creature
Dan-
lunges at Jim.
by the way, Mr. Zarin, Isaac, this is Ralph. He's the ship's captain.
Oh, hey, Ralph.
But I want you to make certain that you go to and find out where the captain is on your own initiative, and make certain to protect him with everything you've got, ammunition and life. You understand me? As a direct order to both of you. I'm saying that to the right security.
Okay.
Don't worry, Isaac. We are going to biolab now.
If you don't mind, I'll accompany you. As he holds up the rather large handgun he's got.
That's a very big gun.
Yeah, he's very good with it. He's very proud of it. We head to the biolab.
All right then, Danner, Isaac, you're sticking with.
Yep.
All right.
I'll actually be behind them.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah. Cyril knows the way to the biolab, and if you're gonna, go behind, and because he can open up the doors just as you can, and if you have to reverse, you're going to be the first one to the door behind you that just closed, as the sections will act in tandem, right? In case there's any further breaches. So, as you're making your way through, section by section, number one, all of you have one stress from just this event happening. There's that first drip of adrenaline as something has happened. The tensions have been raised, and now there's an actual emergency going on.
Okay, so I go from stress 5 to stress 6.
No. When you woke up, the time has passed. All of you are at 0 stress. Now
Gotcha.
all of you are at 1 stress. Yeah.
Do we recover health?
Yeah, you would have been treated. You're at the start of this game. You would have had maximum health and 0 stress. And now it's my job.
7 years well rested.
Yeah.
I mean, not well rested because it's hypersleep.
7 years repaired.
7 years in
it's a
surgical pod. Better have fixed something.
All right.
You also realize that little click you had in your left ankle isn't there anymore.
So we.
Yeah, it's in mine now.
Maybe that was in. That was in Cyril's here. Coffee. Can we go to the lab? I think it's if we send that one to the back. It's the last layer. Now this is not going to be the main lab that Cyril normally goes to here, but this is going to be similar. But just so you all don't think I'm a filthy liar. Here, it's hydroponics. There's a plant, and there's a plant. Very good. Look at that. Beautiful. The circle of life.
I look at Cyril. Who let them grow that plant? I didn't know it had been legalized.
It's for science.
Yeah.
I don't think that's for science. I think that's a health hazard.
This is a biolab. Everything that's hazardous should be secured. I take a look out of habit. Everything is secured, I presume?
Yes. So there is crew in here. I mean, by crew, it's probably like 1 or 2 people who are doing whatever routine. Check the water level this hour. All right, I have an hour to check the water level again. Cool, I'm getting college credit.
I look at anyone who's in here and say, make sure you're ready to use your tablets as a flashlight at a moment's notice. We may be losing emergency power too.
Okay, yes, sir.
Secure all samples, secure all current experiments, anything short term, and immediately. destroy if it's requiring destroying, and make sure you will be available within 15 minutes to move, act, or in the worst case scenario, evacuate. So please do everything in orderly fashion.
Yeah. They look at each other, and then you go that way. Yeah, you go that way, and they start going, and they'll put they'll start like pulling down the shutters for the different like experiment bays, and like I don't know,
As they're doing
cycling
that,
stuff down, and getting things put away, like stowing stuff that could get loose.
I start wandering around a little bit just to get a closer look at some stuff.
I get to the computer system and store all the data and updates on research on my storage device. It's my personal backup. I always held it with me.
Maintenance and engineering deployed. Maintenance and engineering deployed. Please stand by. Speak to your closest officer for instructions. Maintenance and engineering deployed.
Chief Danner, who is deployed and what are we supposed to be doing now?
Maintenance and engineering. They're to repair the breach and to ensure that there's no damage to the engine.
Oh, that sounds very important. We better not get in the way.
Whenever there's a hull breach in the rear third of the vessel, engineering it is always sent, just in case.
I understand. Well, thankfully I'm not engineering.
Neither am I.
All right, so you're working in here, Dr. Iskander. You are you're uploading your data. You're syncing stuff up, and Danner and Isaac. I mean, there's nothing that necessarily you've been told to do. So while the officers you're with are on like watching or uploading, what are you two doing in this? A hydroponics lab? They're growing fresh food? And the water in here is probably just as good for you to drink, not just the plants.
Probably better. It's probably got nutrients in it.
What are you two doing?
Probably my character's probably staring at like one of the plants that he's not very familiar with, like very intently.
Okay.
So he's probably just like staring off at this like kind of like sort of like semi-space, but not really.
Okay. Danner?
Yeah, I'm observing some of the equipment on here that is just honestly it's probably kind of alien to me, so I'm just trying to figure out my capacity of what this stuff can do. So I see like some tables out here. Maybe I see a couple of microscopes and stuff, so I'm just like, man, what is going on? What did I miss?
All right.
If I notice this, I'll kind of lean over to you, Dr. Zarin. Meet the space farmers.
You have farmers up here?
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
Is this all food that you guys are growing?
I'm not certain what this one is.
This is a tomato. Please do not eat the stalks, but the red stuff you can eat. It's safe. Though it's not quite.
I know what the tomato looks like.
It's probably been like you said, forever since we were on rations for a bit. So I'm just like, oh my gosh,
sure.
I want to eat some of this stuff right now.
Those over there are potatoes. They're inside liquid. Don't pull them. That could damage them.
So Isaac, you're pondering plants. The gunnery sergeant here is I mean, in a way, keeping you calm and distracted, especially because as a kid, I mean, who knows what you would just push or pull or do. There's the two other lab technicians who are kind of shuttering stuff and making sure the carts are stowed where they got to go and all this. Dr. Iskander, you're tending to your to your
Data.
computer, Danner. As you were looking around here, Isaac seems to be kind of distracted. You come up next to Cyril here, and there's a monitor labeled observation, and there's only really one button, as that it kind of lets you scroll through some cameras on it's more for the people working on the interior of the ship, because there's no windows on this part. But this would let them, similar to that lounge, like you could at least pretend you have a window so you don't feel claustrophobic. You're like, wow, again, like the excesses or whatever, however this is, for a scientist in the middle of the ship to at least be able to look out at the stars. You're scrolling through and you see, you stop because there's actually, you're seeing something that looks almost like a bus, and it's painted black. That is emerging from a docking bay. There's the words. And as it comes out, if you ask about it, Dr. Iskander can tell
shuttle.
you, like, that's our maintenance shuttle. That's our. It goes off camera. You can switch over to the next one if you want. I don't know if you've played Among Us, but similar idea when you're working security. And it's
I'm very curious about, like, if they're not going to stop me from like touching a couple things, even I'm probably just pestering some of the other scientists out here, just like asking them a couple questions. So this has definitely got my attention, and I'm gonna keep trying to figure out, like, what else can I see on this ship?
I do glance over there from time to time when I see that he's watching the progress of the maintenance shuttle. I make sure to include a glance at the screen in my left-right pass.
Okay. So you're following it out, and maybe it's giving you something to concentrate on, something to try and. It doesn't mechanically relieve your stress, but at least it gives you something other than just sitting and doing nothing. You're keeping up as all this is going on. You see that there are some arms that sort of come out of the side of this bus-looking shuttle, and you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense for like repair, manipulation of things.
I point out that's how we brought you on board.
Make an observation, Danner. Okay. Would you like to push? The scene is you're just casually watching things, flick through a different series of cameras. However, you as the player, if you would like to push, your character doesn't need a reason. This is your control. You are the.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for it. At this point, I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of looking for something specific. So let's keep going.
Nice. So you're leaning in, and maybe there's like some beads of sweat, because even though it's actually been a very mild temperature and you're not surrounded by a crush of humanity like you were back on the Cicada, man, you're starting to get warm. Now with your two successes, so of course the one means that you succeed, the other is a stunt, and in this case, it's nothing really that would be like, well, you see in half the time, because that's somehow you're like faster than light absorbing eyes, but what I will do is I will give you more information. You're catching more in the scene as you have a stunt on your success. the black shuttle is making its way from the rear of the ship, and it has exited out the port side of the ship. The arms have come out, and it's making its way forward. There's something along the edge that it might have been distortion at first, but you got that adrenaline, and you're not going to take that for granted. There's something, a flicker. It's very tough to tell initially, because just the side of the ship, which is a nice, it's a white reflective coating on the ship. There's 2 red flashes before it disappears against the blackness of space. 2 red things have moved from the hull of the ship and have disappeared into space.
What in the world? So I'm trying to. I'm still not too familiar with the tech on here, so I'm scrolling through. I don't know how to go outside of the area, so I'm cycling through a lot of the camera angles, maybe to try to figure out oh shoot, maybe there's another way to find out. But yeah, I'm kind of oh, that's kind of weird.
Jim, as you're doing your scans, you're making sure everything's okay. Danner is hunched over this observation terminal and flicking the camera hard.
Danner, what's the matter?
Oh, I'm not entirely sure. I'm trying to figure out the different angles from this on this device. Trying to see if we could see outside the ship.
This is just observation cameras. They show real time.
Let me see if they can pull up the security cameras on the outside.
This is real time?
Yes.
Well, yes, you can see the shuttle, which has depth for the engineering section. They are making sure that whatever hit us will not, destroy us.
So this ship is actually the shuttle. It had maintenance crew, right?
Yeah, that was the announcement from a few moments ago.
I presume so. I understand it can work in robot regime, but.
By the way, I'm looking at the controls. He's looking at to see if I can turn on the exterior cameras.
Jim, go ahead and make a ComTech roll. And I'll give you a +1 bonus die to this.
Is there anything I can do?
Hold on, Isaac. Can you ask those 2 gentlemen, maybe they need a hand with something? I'm pointing at the laborants who are finishing off the cycle.
Yeah. Hey, kid, you want to give us a hand?
Yeah, I'll give you a hand.
All right, so you scamper over to the lab techs.
Not thankfully at the laborant.
Okay, 1 success.
Okay, do you want to keep the 1 success, or would you like to?
I'm going to keep it at 1.
Okay, that's fine in this regard. Because some of the equipment is donated from different companies or outside sources. It's not troublesome, but you're like, oh, that's right. On this piece of equipment in the hydroponics lab, I have to flick the switch to the left, not the right.
This one's Android, not Apple or Google.
Right. You haven't even gotten to the Linux part of the ship either, too.
That's on the front. That's on the navigation.
Yeah, there is no control button on this one. You use the Apple button.
Okay, so what happens?
Black Shuttle, what do you need?
We got good exterior view of the maintenance shuttle.
Sir. You need a feed?
Say again, over. I could not understand.
Do you need a feed?
I don't think anybody can hear you through that filter, Matty.
No one can.
Sir, do you need a feed?
Yes, we do. We're in the hydroponics lab right now. Console, and I read off the number of the console.
Oh, sure. And there's a not as good image, and in fact, Jim, not just because it's a different camera set being like transmitted here, but Danner and Jim, you're seeing that the feed is getting very staticky. Like the image keeps flickering, and it'll come back for a moment and cut out. Come back for a moment. The two of you, if one of you wants to make the observation roll and the other can assist, that's fine. I'm having both of you look. One of you can decide to roll, and okay. So let's do this. Jim, roll an observation first, and we'll see if you are adding
anything to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
For this, I will not penalize you if you panic. This is just see if you catch anything. Okay, do you want to push, or do you want to keep it at neutral, nothing added?
No, I'm gonna leave it at neutral.
Okay. So Danner, go ahead and make an observation. No modification on this. Would you like to push?
Yeah, let's push it.
Okay. Okay.
Oh no.
Now, aha! We panic. However, I'm gonna do it correctly this time, and not just have your eyeballs fall out of your skull. All right. So, you do have 3 stress. So go ahead and roll a d6 and add 3, and we will consult. Oh, that's a 9, actually.
9
might be the threshold.
I thought 10 was.
Let me go to that real quick. That was.
I think 10 was
104, I think. Okay, a 9. 9 is drop item, whether by stress, confusion, or the realization that you're all going to die anyway. You drop a weapon or other important item. The GM decides which one. Your stress level increases by 1. Okay, so Danner,
It's not a failure.
I don't know if you're necessarily holding anything in particular, but what we could do is say you back up quickly from the monitor for what you've seen, and you bump into a cart that hasn't been secured yet, and stuff falls over. Clatter, clatter. Cyril, maybe this is not a mechanical thing, but I don't know. Maybe that you're like, what's going on? I thought we're playing.
Yeah, I will actually finally pay attention to what's going on. What happened?
So, Dan, remember your stress goes up 1, but you did get 3 successes to your benefit and also the detriment of this noise and cascade of things. What you saw before that camera that was having the feed went to complete static were 2 dark red things crawling along the black hull of the shuttle. And it was like you got the zoom in, like you panicked in that moment because it was like they're coming right for you through the camera kind of a thing. Probably you're hearkening back to not that long ago for you anyway. Now Jim, you in your own way, because of all the successes, and this was a shared effort, you don't need to worry about the panic. Danner's the one who freaked out. But you would have seen two. It's very difficult to still see a lot of the detail, but two things came up to the camera, and the camera.
Something moving independently of the rest of the shuttle.
Yes.
Dark red in color.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait. What?
You're
Sorry.
talking about the arms of the shuttle?
Yeah, the arms or the hull?
Something is on
hull.
the ship. Something is on that
I immediately hit
maintenance ship.
comms. Maintenance shuttle, stay off the ship. Stay off ship. There is contamination discovered on the exterior of the vessel. Do not, I repeat, do not re-enter the ship.
I don't.
Oh no.
Actually, him cutting out, like, you actually cut out a few times, so it's perfect.
The communications are static, and what you can do is like Isaac, maybe you run over to help your friend Danner because he fell against the cart. You're like, hey buddy, come on, like what's happening here? Jim, it's easy for you to continue to swipe through the cameras to get a look, because the cameras you're viewing are on board the Emmet, looking out, at the exterior of it.
What's happening? What contamination?
Well, what
Two
is...
figures, red, moving independently on the hull of the engineering repair maintenance shuttle.
Can you describe these things?
Two figures, two shapes. They were moving independently. I didn't get a better glimpse of them, but apparently Danner did. Meanwhile, security report locations.
So I start to get up again and try to compose myself, as I try to explain, like, something is out here on this ship. It's actually crawling around. I'm not sure if I have no real explanation of what it could be. At this point, I'm not too sure about how their technology works as much as, like, robots and stuff. So I'm kind of like, that didn't seem robotic to me.
Plus, I immediately demanded the shuttle not come.
Can I get locations of cameras on the ship and figure out which ones will have a decent angle on the maintenance?
And I'm starting to get a little bit of that, like, PTSD of, like, communications are starting to, like,
I'm back with the console, let Cyril at it.
This is not happening again.
And like I said, I'm trying to use my comms to get in touch with the other security.
My character, Isaac said that way earlier, that it's happening again. And it's becoming more and more true as time goes on.
All right, so Jim, you're trying to report in with security. Danner and Isaac, I mean, you're doing your things. Cyril, you move over to find an optimal angle. In this case, I'm going to reduce it down to there's an angle you're looking for, and you're going to find the best one you can. So, like, I don't want to, like, take the time to drop a bunch of cameras. You'll find the best camera angle that you could get from your knowledge. Cool. And I want you to make an observation. Okay.
That's impressive.
Oh no. Panic.
Yep. So but even on a 6, I don't know. There might be like a role playing thing, but go ahead and roll a d6
I can hit a
alongside
twitch, actually.
Oh, okay.
No,
Okay, now 4. a dramatic bead of sweat from Cyril's forehead rolls down his cheek. What you do see, you may not get a lot of bonus, and well, I mean it's a fail, but there's something that's going to be so obvious, is that by the time that you find the camera angle you're looking for, what like the prime shot, is it the best? No, but it's the best you can hope to have. As everyone else is doing their thing, there is for a moment an image of the plating on the outside, like it would be like the roof of this black bus, is, lack of a better term, peeled open. And
not imploding.
What's that?
Not imploding inwards, peeled outwards.
Yes, outwards. And it is wildly out of control. And for the rest of you, you may not have seen what had happened. However, blaring, the alert, actually, it wasn't this one. I'm going to go to, I got this, this isn't just, like, oh, I mean, a hull breach is bad. This is the shit's fucked alarm, for lack of a better term. Maybe that's what the crew affectionately calls this one. This is the shit's fucked alarm.
The experienced crew, at least.
Yeah.
Is it like the silence, but it's like so loud that it does feel like nothing is going on?
The ship rocks as Cyril, the black shuttle, just careened into the port engine.
And there goes mobility.
I grab on a table.
A folded down table, I assume.
What's the closest thing that's near me that I can grab onto?
Is there a
Danner?
Yeah, is there a stanchion or a bulkhead on the area near here?
Yeah, you can
Snag on with one hand while I'm still trying to get in touch with the rest of security.
And what we're gonna do, everyone, is on this note, we're gonna get up and take a little break. The starboard engine room has had a hull breach, and the black science/maintenance shuttle just careened into the starboard engine. And right now, the crew is holed up inside the hydroponics lab. And let's take 15 minutes, stretch, breathe, and we're going to come back and something. So everyone out there, thank you for watching. We'll be back in a little bit. This is a time for you to take a break too. And you'll hear my voice again. I'll say, all right, we're going live soon. Everyone sit back down and we'll do our thing.
We'll be back after these messages.
Yep. After these messages.